When it comes to the mysteries of life, there is a whole ocean of mysteries that have not yet been solved. Nevertheless, on the whole, we as a species are pretty good at finding solutions and answers, from the mysteries of nature to where did we put the keys after all. Science and philosophy seek to unravel these eternal mysteries and answer these constant obsessive questions about how the world around us functions. As human history moves forward, we are making incredible advances in our knowledge of ourselves and the world around us. Yet despite all that modern science has accomplished, there are thousands of mysterious events and thousands of discoveries that leave us absolutely astonished. From natural phenomena and disappearances to murders and miracles, certain mysteries continue to remind us that we still don't have all the answers. Nevertheless, as technology advances and more discoveries are made in the world of science, we're getting closer to solving some of the most intricate mysteries that have impacted the last few centuries. Here are 12 such mysteries that have puzzled us for years, but the solutions to these mysteries have only recently been discovered by scientists. 12. Magnetic hills. Magnetic, hypnotic or gravitational hills are known all over the world. They are the inspiration for countless urban legends and myths. If you park your car or place a magnetized object at the base of a magnetic hill, it will roll up, defying the laws of physics. Or so we like to think. In fact, scientists have recently come to the conclusion that this is nothing more than an optical illusion. Our eyes perceive these hills as tilted upward because it's hard to see the horizon in mountainous areas. The thing is, it's the horizon that tells us whether the trees are upright and whether we're going up or down. 11. Moving huge rocks. There used to be endless speculation about how some of the world's greatest wonders were built, such as the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge. The technology of construction certainly had to have been primitive in the periods when these wonders were built, so these structures have become some of the greatest mysteries in the world. Theories about the method of their construction have ranged from help from aliens to magic. Nevertheless, in recent years, some people have created experimental structures of their own, similar to these wonders. One man named Wally Wallington built his own Stonehenge, using rocks, wood, and his own power. We are not saying that Wallington's method was the method used to create these structures, but this example certainly suggests that they may indeed have been built by hand. 10. Oceanic roar. Hydrophones went out all over the Pacific Ocean in 1997 when they picked up sound at an ultra-low frequency 5,000 kilometers apart. Speculation as to the source of the sound ranged from the monster of Loch Ness Lake to some other giant deep-sea monster as yet undiscovered by humans. Nevertheless, researchers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration worked tirelessly and discovered that the sound was probably not coming from an animal, but was the sound of an iceberg breaking off the coast of Antarctica. Cryptozoologists were very disappointed. There are those who believe that this explanation is an attempt by the government to cover up the truth. Others believe that the mournful sound is scary in itself, reminding us of the inexorable melting of the polar ice. 9. The missing Franklin expedition. After remaining a mystery for 170 years, the fate of the ships Erebus and Terror has almost been revealed by scientists. The two ships were lost in 1846 in the Arctic in Nunavut near King William Island. Based on the testimony of members of the Eskimo tribe at the time, as well as the discovered land graves of the crew, it was safe to assume that the ships had sunk or were trapped in the ice. Nevertheless, no one knew exactly where they were. Until September 2014, when an image from the sonar of one of the ships popped up as a distant vehicle floating over the wreckage. The Canadian government intends to further dive and raise the wreck in light of the fact that the find is one of the greatest maritime discoveries of this century. 8. The missing colony of Roanoke. The missing colony on North Carolina's Roanoke Island has remained a mystery ever since the colony, which arrived on the site in 1587, completely disappeared from the face of the earth in 1590. The only clues were the word Crowtone, carved on a post at the main gate of the settlement, and the letter Crow, carved into a tree not far from the colony. When a colony of people simply disappears without a trace, leaving their homes and absolutely all their belongings behind, people will naturally be looking for an answer to the question of where it went. In recent years, historians and researchers have concluded that the colony had been afflicted by some disease or affliction which caused people either died or dispersed into smaller groups and quickly abandoned the colony. This explanation is not accurate, but it brings us a little closer to understanding this mysterious disappearance. 7. Moving rocks. In a remote location in Death Valley, California, there is a dried-up lake called Racetrack Playa, where several heavy rocks seem to move around the lake on their own. People blame space aliens and jokers, but no one has ever seen these rocks move to confirm what moves them or makes them move. In 2006, a scientist named Ralph Lorenz began studying the rocks and came to the conclusion that when the temperature drops in Death Valley, enough water and ice forms under the rocks to make them move down the river, leaving a trail of mud behind them. 6. Richard III. Richard III lived from 1452 to 1485 and reigned for only 2 years, becoming the last king to die on the battlefield. He has been portrayed in various colors in English literature throughout the centuries. While fascination with this historical figure persisted, the location of his remains remained a mystery. In 2012, however, researchers discovered a skeleton under a parking lot in Leicester. It was determined that the remains belonged to King Richard. Anthropologists and forensic scientists were finally able to figure out exactly how he met his demise. It was discovered that Richard had suffered several fatal blows that caused his death. 5. The Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle has been infamous since the days of Christopher Columbus. In 1492, when the adventurer sailed across a body of water between Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, his compass began to behave strangely. Since then, many alleged disappearances and mysterious phenomena have occurred in this area. In the 1950s, an article about the mystery of this area was even published in the Associated Press. Some, of course, believe that the unexplained disappearances that have occurred in this area are the work of aliens, while others believe it was a failed government experiment. However, recent research has shown that in the Bermuda Triangle, in fact, has not seen any spike in disappearances compared to other regions of the world, and magnetic compass problems are often observed by sailors. 4. Anastasia. The story of the Romanov family is both tragic and mysterious. Tsar Nicholas II and his family were brutally overthrown and executed during the Russian Revolution. The remains of all members of the extended family were found, except for the remains of his daughter, Anastasia Nikolaevna. This absence naturally led to the assumption that she was still alive. And if she was alive, people wondered, was she too young to remember her royal origins? Over the years, many women impersonated Anastasia, and the hype inspired numerous books and movies. Nevertheless, in 1991, previously unknown remains were discovered not far from where the Romanov family was murdered, although research at the time could not confirm that they belonged to Anastasia. However, in 2008, DNA technology finally confirmed that these were indeed Anastasia's remains. After that, she was finally able to be buried, literally and figuratively, with her family. 3. Maria Celeste. In 1872, the Maria Celeste was sighted in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of the Azores. The ship was in perfect condition, except for the fact that the crew seemed to have simply evaporated. It was not the pirates' fault, for there were no signs of a struggle, and all the ship's valuables were in place. There was no sign of crew on the ship, yet everything was still in its place, except for some missing documents. Dr. Andrea Sella of University College London in Britain conducted an experiment which led her to a convincing explanation. There were over 1,700 barrels of raw liquor on the ship, which could have caused an invisible explosion. This explosion caused the crew to go crazy and leave the ship in lifeboats. 2. Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart made headlines in the 1930s as one of the most ambitious and successful female pilots of her time. She attempted to enter the record books by flying 46,671 kilometers, but in 1936, in the last 1,265 kilometers, she disappeared after her last radio transmission along with her co-pilot, Fred Noonan. She disappeared without a trace. Theories about where Amelia died ranged from speculation that she was captured by the Japanese, that she returned to the US as part of the Witness Protection Program, all the way up to the suggestion that she was living on a desert island. Thanks to imaging technology and sonar equipment, in October 2014, part of her plane was found off the coast of one island. In 1940, human remains were found in the same area, but the identity of the corpse could not be determined. 1. Jack the Ripper. The story of serial killer Jack the Ripper has been one of the most complex mysteries in British history. Theories about the killer's identity have ranged from a pauper to a royal blood carrier. Recently, a bloody handkerchief was discovered that had been passed down from generation to generation in the family of a policeman, who took it from one of Jack the Ripper's victims, Catherine Eddowes. The living heirs brought the handkerchief to the auction, where Russell Edwards bought it for testing. He tested Eddowes' DNA using the blood of her descendants, and compared the blood on the handkerchief to that of a longtime suspect, a Pole named Aaron Kosminski. Edwards believes he found a connection between Kosminski and the victims. However, scientists are not entirely convinced by his analysis, because touching the handkerchief over the years may have contaminated it.